Welcome to Core of Space. Let's journey begin. What if everything around you, this room, your body, even the entire universe, is just a complex computer simulation? Sounds like sci-fi, right? But some of the world's smartest minds think this might actually be true. Welcome to the simulation hypothesis. Explain what the simulation hypothesis is: the idea that reality as we know it is an artificial simulation, like a highly advanced video game. Why this topic matters? It challenges our understanding of existence, consciousness, and the nature of reality. Origins of the simulation hypothesis. Have you ever stopped and wondered, what if your entire reality isn't real? What if your thoughts, your memories, and even this very moment are part of a sophisticated simulation, controlled by a higher intelligence? Philosophical roots. The idea that our reality might be an illusion isn't new. In fact, it goes back over 2,000 years to the time of Plato, one of the most famous philosophers in history. He told the story of the allegory of the cave. Imagine people living their whole lives chained inside a cave, only seeing shadows cast on a wall. To them, those shadows are reality. But step outside the cave, and you see the truth, a much bigger world they could never imagine. Plato's point? Maybe we're all still in that cave, mistaking shadows for reality. Illustrate the cave metaphor: shadow puppets, people awakening. Centuries later, René Descartes, the French philosopher, asked a similar question. What if everything we experience is a trick? He proposed the idea of an evil demon that could be deceiving us, creating a false reality. His conclusion was simple yet powerful: I think, therefore I am. Meaning, even if reality is fake, the fact that we are thinking proves we exist, in some form. Modern version, Nick Bostrom. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the idea of a fake reality took a scientific twist. In 2003, a philosopher named Nick Bostrom from Oxford University published a paper that changed everything. He asked a radical question: what if future civilizations become so advanced that they can simulate entire worlds, including conscious beings like us? Bostrom's theory is built on probability. He says one of these three things must be true. Civilizations never become advanced enough to run such simulations. They choose not to simulate the past. Or, we're almost certainly living inside one. And here's the twist. If even one advanced civilization runs countless simulations, then simulated minds could outnumber real ones. So statistically, we're probably one of them. Simulation in science and culture. The simulation theory isn't just philosophy anymore. It's become part of science, pop culture, and even serious debates among physicists and tech billionaires. People like Elon Musk say there's a 1 in billions chance we're not in a simulation. He argues that video games and virtual reality are evolving so fast. It's only a matter of time before we create simulations indistinguishable from reality. Some physicists are exploring whether the universe has a digital structure, like a pixelated grid at the smallest level, or if cosmic rays reveal signs of computational limits. From ancient shadows on cave walls to modern-day simulations running on quantum computers, our quest to understand reality has never stopped. The simulation hypothesis is not about proving we're in the Matrix, it's about questioning the very nature of existence. What if this is just level 1? Are we living in a simulation? We've talked about the philosophy behind the simulation theory, but what does science have to say? Are there real clues, hidden in physics, that suggest our universe might be a computer-generated simulation? The pixelated universe. Let's start with a strange observation. Some physicists believe the universe might not be continuous, but quantized, like a high-resolution digital image. Just as a video game world is made of pixels, the real universe might be made of tiny indivisible units, of space, time, and energy. This idea comes from quantum physics, where energy exists in discrete packets, or quanta. Some even believe spacetime itself could be made of code, like a simulation running on an unimaginable cosmic computer. Cosmic rays and evidence. In 2012, a team of scientists proposed an experiment. If our universe is simulated, maybe it runs on a limited resolution, like a game engine. That could leave traces in the way high-energy cosmic rays behave. They looked for patterns or pixel limits in the movement of particles. While results are still inconclusive, the idea is clear: even physics may carry fingerprints of the simulation. Computing power and AI. Think about how far our own technology has come. Just 50 years ago, we barely had computers. Now we have virtual reality, AI, and simulations that are getting closer to real life every year. Voiceover. Elon Musk once said, "There's a 1 in billions chance we're in base reality." Why? Because if any civilization advances far enough, it could create simulations so real that the simulated beings inside wouldn't even know. The scientific debate. Not all scientists agree, though. Many say the simulation hypothesis is untestable, and therefore, not scientific. There's no experiment, yet, that can prove or disprove it. But that doesn't make it useless. The simulation idea opens doors, forcing us to question what reality is, how consciousness works, and what future technology could look like. So, is the universe a simulation? Science hasn't proven it, but it hasn't ruled it out either. Until then, we may just be characters in a very complex cosmic game. Core of space, reality isn't what? The ethical and philosophical truths. If our universe is a simulation, what does that mean for us? Are our choices real? Is free will just an illusion? And what about ethics? Do the beings running the simulation have a responsibility toward us? What is reality? Let's begin with the most basic question: what is reality? If everything we see, touch, and feel is part of a simulation, then reality isn't what it appears to be. But does that make it fake? Not necessarily. Think of it this way: when you dream, your experience feels real in that moment. If a simulation is perfect and consistent, it becomes real enough to matter. Some philosophers argue, it doesn't matter what reality is made of, atoms or code, what matters is how we experience it. So even if we are inside a simulation, it is still our reality. Free will versus programming. Now here's the deeper question. If we are in a simulation, do we have free will? Or are we just following lines of code, like NPCs in a game? Many philosophers believe that free will is an illusion, even in base reality. Our thoughts and decisions are shaped by biology, environment, and random chance. But in a simulated world, the idea becomes even more complicated. Are our actions pre-programmed? Or are we self-aware agents, capable of independent thought within the system? Voiceover. This leads to a new definition of free will. It's not about being free from all causes, but about responding and choosing within our limited framework. Visual suggestion: digital brain, person choosing between two doors, neural paths lighting up. Ethics of simulation. If we're simulated, what responsibilities do the creators have? Should they care if we suffer or feel joy? Do they have a moral obligation to protect us, or let us live freely? Think about video games. Game developers create virtual worlds, but rarely worry about the feelings of the characters inside. But if those characters were conscious, would it be ethical to let them suffer? This raises powerful ethical questions. If we create conscious AI in the future, will we treat them as tools, or as beings with rights? Similarly, if we are the creation of a higher intelligence, are we just entertainment? A science experiment? Or something sacred? Religious and spiritual impacts. For many, this theory echoes ancient ideas. A higher being creating the world, watching over us, giving us purpose. Some compare the simulation creators to gods. If they designed everything, is that not a form of intelligent creation? This doesn't prove or disprove religion, but it blurs the line between theology and technology. Maybe the simulators are gods in a digital sense, all-powerful, all-seeing. Are we living in a simulation? What pop culture and famous thinkers say? When you hear the word simulation, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Most likely, The Matrix. But what if I told you, the idea that we're living in a simulation isn't just fiction anymore, it's being seriously discussed by scientists, tech billionaires, and philosophers worldwide. The Matrix Effect. In 1999, The Matrix changed everything. It wasn't just a sci-fi movie, it was a modern philosophical explosion. It introduced millions to the idea that our world could be fake, an artificial illusion designed to control us. The concept was inspired by real philosophy, especially the writings of Plato and Descartes, who questioned the nature of reality centuries ago. But thanks to Hollywood, the simulation idea became part of mainstream culture. Elon Musk and modern thinkers. One of the biggest supporters of the simulation hypothesis is none other than Elon Musk. At a 2016 tech conference, he said, "There's a 1 in billions chance that we're not in a simulation." His argument? Look at how fast video games and virtual reality are advancing. From Pong in the 70s to hyper-realistic 3D worlds today, it's only a matter of time before we can create entire digital universes, just like our own. And if that's true, then it's likely that other civilizations have already done it, and we might be inside one of their simulations. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bostrom, and other voices. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson also finds the idea convincing. He once said there's a 50-50 chance that we live in a simulation. Meanwhile, Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom published the most serious version of the idea in 2003, his famous simulation argument. He didn't just say we might be simulated, he gave logical reasons why it could be very likely. Bostrom's theory. If any civilization becomes advanced enough to run realistic simulations, and they create many of them, then the simulated beings will far outnumber real ones, meaning we're probably one of them. Simulation in movies and games. The simulation idea isn't limited to The Matrix. Pop culture is full of stories that challenge reality. Even video games reflect this idea. In sandbox games like Minecraft or The Sims, we create and control entire worlds, just like a possible simulator might be doing with us. So whether it's philosophy, science, or science fiction, the simulation theory has taken over modern thinking. Speed of light as a speed limit, are we in a programmed reality? Have you ever wondered, why is the speed of light the fastest anything can go? Why not faster? Why not infinite speed? We're talking about 299,792,458 meters per second, that's the universal limit, according to Einstein's theory of relativity. Nothing with mass can ever move faster than that. But here's the real question. Backhand index pointing right, what if the speed of light isn't a law of physics, but a built-in speed limit, set by the simulation itself? Let me explain. Cyclone 1. The programming analogy. Think about your favorite video game. When you move your character across the map, the world doesn't fully load all at once. Why? Because the game engine only renders the parts you can see, to save processing power. Now imagine a computer trying to simulate an entire universe, like ours. It makes sense that such a simulation would need limitations. Like frame rates in games. Or render distances in open-world maps. Or speed limits, so things don't move too fast to track. The speed of light could be the universe's version of a performance cap, to stop reality from breaking under processing strain. Scientific basis, Einstein meets the Matrix. Einstein's special relativity says that as objects move faster, they gain mass, and time slows down for them. At the speed of light, time literally stops. This isn't just theory, it's been tested. We've observed time dilation in satellites and high-speed particles. It's real. But it also feels engineered. Why should time behave that way? Why does energy required to go faster increase infinitely? Why is there any cap? These laws work suspiciously well, almost like lines of code keeping a simulation stable. Magnifying glass tilted left 3. Quantum rendering, only when observed. Let's go deeper. In quantum mechanics, particles don't have a fixed state until they're observed. It's called the observer effect. It's as if the universe is rendering reality only when someone's looking. Combine this with the idea of a cosmic speed limit, and we start seeing something strange. Our reality seems efficient. It behaves like a system optimized for processing. Limited speed, partial rendering, responsive behavior. Just like a simulation. And just like games where the player can't move faster than the engine allows. Test Tube 4. Experimental thoughts. Some scientists are actually trying to test this. If we're in a simulation, then under certain conditions, maybe we'll detect the grid, or tiny inconsistencies in how space behaves. In fact, a research team once tried to look for signs of a universal lattice, like pixels in space, at subatomic levels. So far, nothing conclusive. But the idea remains, if the universe was programmed, light speed might be part of the code's architecture. Backhand index pointing right is. So, are we in a simulation? We might never know. But the very fact that this question is possible shows how far we've come as thinkers, dreamers, explorers. Whether it's real or not. What matters most is how we live our lives inside this reality, simulated or not. Speech balloon, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is this just sci-fi fantasy, or could we be lines of code in someone else's cosmic game? Until next time, stay curious. This is Core of Space, signing off. Rocket. Brain, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this mind-bending journey.